get this done!
Stubbsy, I have watched you play Call of Duty Black Ops 3 and you're very, very good at it, aren't you? Is actually, you're going to admit to that? You're going to be modest or just say, yes I am?
No, I am very good at Call of Duty.
Okay, and that's fair enough. So, because you've been off, well, a little while ago now actually, and you played through all of Call of Duty, you played loads of multiplayer, smashed the hell out of a load of other games media, and like, in fact the evidence is there to prove that. Then you went home and you played some more of it, and you've given it a review, which you can read on godisgeek.com, but we're here to talk about it. So let's start at the very beginning. No, let's not. I was going to say let's go to campaign, but I know what you think of the campaign, and we'll come to that later. Let's talk about zombies, actually, Stubbsy, first of all. How is zombies in Black Ops 3?
Zombies is very, very good. Like, it's going to split people, I think, because it's quite different and to what it's been before, but in my opinion, I really liked it. So I can't remember the name. It's like Shadow of something, the name of the new map, and it is absolutely massive. I'm sure they said it's the biggest one they've ever done.
But the thing is those zombies maps are always quite big, but unless you're really good, you don't see all of them anyway, do you?
You say that, but like you can. This one more than any other like helps out movement-wise because there's like a train system thing that you can use, providing you've got like far enough into the place where it is and all that jazz. So that kind of helps getting around a bit more. But this one has got a new thing called the Beast, where one player I think it's one player per round can become the Beast. And instead of having a gun and being one of the 4 characters, you turn into like a massive tentacle black zombie thing.
It looked like something out of the darkness.
Yes, very similar actually. That's a good point.
Well, when I watched you playing, I was like, what's going on? Why is he turned into the darkness thing?
So what you can do there is like you can still kill zombies by like grappling them and throwing them to the floor, I think.
Right.
But the real reason why you'd do it is because the Beast has electrical powers, so he can power up any electrical items, sort of the like Juggernaut machines or Trapped in the World or stuff like that. And where that becomes key is as sort of like, obviously the idea is to try and survive as many waves as possible, but the overall sort of meta idea is that there's these ritual sites, I think they're called, where you need to take certain items to them and then something happens, and my team were never good enough to be able to do that, so I can't really tell you what happens, but you need the Beast to be able to get these items and stuff like that. So there is a hell of a lot to figure out, a lot of which I didn't get to try out because we were really quite bad. And I'm sure that like within probably an hour of release, or probably even now by the time you're listening to this, people will have figured it out and it'll be all over the internet. But it's definitely got potential to be really cool depending on how all that extra stuff plays out with like the overall metagame and stuff like that. But
it's still got like loads of secrets and stuff, like like you can find, like, because there's always, especially in the Black, mind you, when did zombies start? Was it with Black Ops?
No, it was World at War.
It wasn't. It was Treyarch's thing, isn't it? That's what I'm getting at. Treyarch is zombies. The other, is it IW that do, like, I can't remember. They've all got their own thing.
Infinity Ward tried to do the alien mode thing.
Oh right, yeah.
Last time out, didn't they? And that was kind of bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, Zombies is where it's at. Zombies is the one I've always been surprised they didn't release as like its standalone thing, because everyone seems to go mad for Zombies.
Yeah, I was a massive fan of Zombies back on possibly Black Ops 1. Like, played it for hours, got to like round 40 odd. And I couldn't really see myself paying 40 quid as a full standalone title. No,
I meant like a downloadable game, like, I don't know, like 15 quid.
Oh yeah, I'd be all over that. That'd be a great idea.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Activision do that.
So, yeah, well, why not? Yeah, well, don't suggest that just yet, because people, so Zombies is really good, and you kind of expect that, but it does sound like it's been changed up. Are there any like named actors that you recognise? Like, is there any? Because sometimes they do that, don't they? With like Zombies mode.
I can remember people having a discussion about faces that they recognised, but me with famous faces is a really bad idea. So I think there is, but I could not tell you who they are.
Well, let's move on to the campaign then, because there were lots of rumours before it came out that it was 15 hours, and that's not true, is it?
Not strictly speaking, no.
But is it longer than the sort of typical 4 to 5 hours? What are we talking? Getting through the campaign.
Well, I clocked in on like the regular difficulty, I think it is. I clocked in at about 8-ish, around the 8 hours mark. And I thought that's long enough. Like, it does enough to tell its story, and it doesn't really become boring. It's just kind of a bit of a... It's very confusing. Like, it takes quite a while to get going and to truly understand what's happening, and it's very hard to talk about this without spoiling stuff.
Well, okay, let me ask you a question about it then. Call of Duty campaigns, there's one thing they always do, regardless of which dev's behind that game. They're bombastic, they're massively... it's like a summer Hollywood blockbuster. Is it still that, or are there any... Because one thing I would quite like to go back to is like Modern Warfare, like all gillied up and stuff, where, it's fairly quiet and subdued. It's more about what's happening around you, and I find that Call of Duty now is just like explosions. Is it that again, or are there any moments of sort of calm?
It is mostly kind of shoot the hell out of everything that you see.
Yeah. But what about compared to Advanced Warfare, which I found the story of Advanced Warfare it just wasn't for me. But what I did like was that every level gave you kind of a new tool that made it stay exciting and fresh. Well, because you've mentioned in the review that the single player levels are generally longer.
Yeah, so like they usually clock in between 30 to 45 minutes. Obviously, if you're really bad, then that'll be way longer. But I sort of took 30 to 45 minutes for most of the campaigns, like missions, and that allows them to each have their own narrative. And like the areas are generally quite big, so you very rarely go back on yourself. And it kind of means that like the starting cutscene of a mission will set the scene of what you're doing there, why you're there, that sort of thing. And then as you play through, instead of like jetting off to another location within 10 minutes, as has been the case in the past, you're sort of in that area and the story unfolds around you of that area, which it makes it a lot easier to... I imagine it would make it a lot easier to play not in one sitting. Like, you could just do a mission and then you felt like you've had kind of a self-contained story in of its own, even though there's obviously an overarching plot, which gets very confusing.
I mean, obviously, I've read your review, which people can read now, again, over on godasageek.com on our website. But the one I think it's fair to say what I got from your review is that apart from it being a great package, like one of the best Call of Duty packages, you felt like the story mode was kind of the weak point. No, I mean that's harsh, because not the weak point, but the zombies and multiplayer are the best bits, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like zombies and multiplayer very rarely or never put a foot wrong, whereas there is a few annoyances in the campaign, such as like we've kind of got used to there always being a really serious major threat from the bad guy, and like
like a villain, isn't it?
This time out, that never really feels like that's the case. It wasn't until probably halfway through that I kind of realised why I was shooting these people, and even then it wasn't overly clear. And it kind of said a lot that after, as a developer at the event saw each person finish the campaign, they came over and said, "Do you have any questions?"
Really?
That's kind of telling us how confusing it is.
Yeah.
And like, once you do grasp it, if you manage to grasp what the whole idea is, then you kind of think, that's kind of clever, but I can see... I don't think I truly understood it until I had a conversation with the developer, which can't be a good sign.
That's not good. I mean, the one thing that also leaked out again well before reviews was the after you complete campaign. Do you want to talk about that at all? I mean, just briefly.
We can quickly mention Nightmares mode.
Nightmares mode, yeah.
It's basically zombies in the campaign.
So what? The zombies are replacing the enemies?
Yes. That's literally what it is. It's a bit more detailed than that. It's exactly the same missions.
It's not zombies like Call of Duty zombies. It's Call of Duty campaign, but with zombies instead of humans.
But like, it's the same. It's exactly the same missions that you've just spent 8 hours playing, except they're in a different order. And when the cutscenes come on, instead of listening to the audio of the people talking in the cutscene, it's overdubbed with a voiceover that tells a different story, which looks really weird. Like, you will be seeing a cutscene and it will have a close-up of like your mate. I can't remember his name. He will be talking. His lips will be moving, but you won't hear what he is saying. You will hear a totally different voice that is saying something totally different.
That's kind of cool. I mean, they didn't have to do that at all. That's kind of cool.
No,
but
they didn't have to do it, and it's a nice addition. And because
it's just
like
to get more content, I guess.
yeah, it's the same missions, but because it's zombies, it's like quite a bit harder. So it will probably take longer than the campaign in the first place. So like that kind of equates to the 15 hours of single player they were talking about, but that's kind of a cheat.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, it sounds like a very content-full disc sort of thing. So, you know, we've done zombies, we've done campaign. I don't even know where to start on multiplayer, Stubbsy. I mean, watching you play it made me want to play it. Like, you make it look incredibly fun. And, you know, having played a lot of Halo 5 recently, there is something to be said for 60 frames. Like, there really is. When you see a game running in 60 frames, it just does look smoother. Now, I know PC gamers are like, well, yeah, well, duh. But console gamers, like, it's just like with Halo, like, there's something to be said for it. And COD has kind of always been the champion of 60 frames, isn't it?
Yeah, but I can't really say that I care at all about frames.
Okay. No, I'm not saying anyone should care. I'm just saying that when you see it, like, I find that now when you watch like this video that you're watching right now, you will see it and you think that looks smooth. That's because it's 60 frames. But someone like you who's played COD, I mean, I played COD, a lot of COD, I played every COD, but I stopped bothering with the online, about probably maybe Black Ops 1. But your playing of this makes me want to play this one. I'm going to play this one online. I'll probably get destroyed because you make it look very easy, but you love it, right?
Yeah, I used to, like, COD used to be my thing back in the day. Come home from school, play COD for 4 hours, eat, play more COD, that sort of thing.
But you don't seem to be, because in Advanced Warfare we've got all the futuristic stuff and you're bouncing around and that. In Black Ops 3 you can do like wall running and boost jumps and that, because I saw there was some sort of weird marathon-y type running thing, like VR courses. But in the multiplayer I don't really see you utilise that too much.
I think that's because the videos were from the first day.
Okay.
It took a while for me to grow into the traversal things.
But you do use it now then?
I use it more than I probably do in the videos that you're seeing. That being said, that I don't... Whereas in Advanced Warfare last year, especially if you look at the pro level, it was like mandatory to use it. Like, if you don't use that, you will get destroyed. You have to be darting around every single second, changing direction, and just trying to beat your opponents that way. This year it kind of... Because it isn't quite as... I don't know how to say it, but isn't quite as, like, big. Like, you can't make massive map-hopping movements, kind of like you could last year.
It does look more close quarters.
Then that kind of makes it more traditional style COD, where you still got more of, like, the cool movement elements. So, like, wall running, there is some sections in some maps that are clearly designed to allow you to wall run, to take a different route. But obviously, if you mess up, then you die.
What about those kills you see like in all the hype trailers where you like see people like they run off a wall, they jump, they boost in the air and they get a kill mid-air? Like, does that actually happen?
That does happen. Like, I don't think I got it on video, but there was one time, there's a map, I think it's called Redwood, which is basically Endor from Star Wars. And on that, it's got these massive trees with like platforms on them, but you can wall run around the trees constantly, providing you press the stick in the right direction. So you can just run around in circles on the trees. And me and some of the other guys were testing this out just to see if it was possible. So there was like 3 of us running around these 2 trees. And then one guy got killed, and we was like, oh, I guess there must be someone coming. So we both jumped off the tree and sort of jetpacked a bit further, and then as we was both dropping, shot the hell out of him, and he died, and I was like, that's a pretty cool moment.
Okay, I mean, it seems... I can't really talk about the guns and that, because it's just the sort of thing you need to play. It seems like an enormously full package that, I mean, you kind of expect from Call of Duty, but, you know, where Ghosts kind of went downhill a lot, and Advanced Warfare was good, the one thing we talked about often on our podcast, which you can find on iTunes, is, just search Code as a Geek, by the way, is that we wondered how they would go from the sort of futuristic-y stuff, you know, to kind of go back, and it sounds like they've kind of taken all that stuff, but by the map design, they've made it, the fact you can play it still the same way you've always played COD.
Yeah, there is. I kind of don't want to say it's that you can play it the same way as you could pre-Advanced Warfare. The movement is there are areas of maps where you can only access, well not only access, but the best way of accessing is using like the double jump jetpack thing or to wall run somewhere. So like you're never not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to totally ignore it, but it doesn't feel quite as obvious as it did last year, where it kind of felt that if you weren't booting around every other second, you were at a tactical disadvantage.
Right.
This time it's like the advanced movement is more for getting around than it is for combat situations.
So, but generally, then overall, you absolutely love Black Ops 3. It's a great Call of Duty game, and still like the shooter on the market to beat.
Yeah, it's like amazing. I just want to play more of it all the time. I want to be able to see how good I am against real people and not just people at an event. So
yeah,
it's very, very good. Definitely worth a shot.
Okay, well, if you poke around our YouTube channel, you can see some sort of just gameplay videos of Stubbsy playing the multiplayer. Obviously, go to godisgeek.com, read the full review because words are important. Follow Stubbsy on Twitter at Mike Stubbsy and at GodIsAGeek. And yeah, cheers for your time. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.